Are you a mid-century modern lover and you already live in Houston, or you're moving to Houston and you want to know all the great little pockets that you should concentrate your efforts? This video is for you. My name is Mariam Hejazi. I've been helping people buy and sell residential real estate for over 12 years, and I have been loving Houston since 1987. Let's get into it. So I am a architecture and history nerd, definitely self-proclaimed, I'll admit it. And I really look at our city through the lens of history and architecture. And I have come up with the firm opinion that Houston is a mid-century modern city. Houston exploded during the space age because we have NASA, that's why we're called the Space City. There is a lot of mid-century modern design nods, even in our overpasses and roadways in some portions of the inner loop. There is a ton of mid-century design in the office buildings, and of course, there are beautiful little pockets all around town with beautiful mid-century modern houses if they haven't already been torn down. And I talk the talk and walk the walk, and myself, I live in a beautiful mid-century modern house on the southwest side of town. So stick around. I'm going to show you on the map all of the cute little pockets that you should be looking for a mid-century modern house here in Houston.
Alrighty, as promised, so here is Houston. It's really big. If you already live here, you already know Houston is an hour away from Houston. That's our joke here. But if you're not from Houston, this is the inner loop here, and then this is Beltway 8. Okay. Mid-century modern houses are really going to be concentrated in this general area. There's going to be some down here by Space Center Houston. There is a little pocket over here, but this this big part of Houston, all on the outskirts, this is all newer development because remember, as cities develop, they start in the downtowns and then they work their way out. So the oldest buildings in Houston are going to be downtown and directly adjacent to downtown. And then as we move out on the outskirts of town, then Houston gets younger and younger and younger, with a lot of new construction being out here. I'm sure you've heard of Katy. All new construction, although there are some areas of Katy that were built in like the 70s or the 80s. So mid-century modern houses, here we go. We're gonna start on the south side. So this whole area here is going to have a lot of mid-century houses. So Meyerland, Willow Meadows, and Willow Bend. This is full of, right here, this is full of mid-century modern and beautiful ranch style homes. The price point is going to be anywhere from about $375 to $679. Now, our prices are stagnant or trending downwards right now in Houston as of August 25. So you might be able to get a deal, but if you're watching this video in the future, no telling what our market is like. This little pocket is also going to have some super cutie pie little ranch and mid-century modern houses. There is, right here, I know this looks like a restaurant, which there is one, but this little pocket right here has some incredible mid-century modern houses. There, and this one right here, this street specifically has some insane beautiful mid-century houses. It's a cul-de-sac, and it must have been like a design showcase at the time, because I would love to own one of those houses. And then right over here as well, you're gonna find cute little ranch and mid-century houses all over here, same as over here. These are going, so Rutherglen specifically is going to have kind of showcase homes, really beautiful, larger lots. I almost bought an amazing mid-century house on Rutherglen last year in 2024, but you're going to have really cool mid-century modern and ranch style houses all over here. Now, it's important to remember that this is a bayou here, and this is a bayou right here on Chimney Rock. Some of these houses have flooded. It is a case-by-case basis, and it's important that you ask if it's been flooded or not. If it does not have its original hardwood floors, highly likely it flooded. So just look at that as the calling card for a flood. If you are looking at a house in this general area and it has its original wood floors, likely it has not flooded. This is Maplewood over here. I like this section between Hillcroft and Chimney Rock below Braeswood Bayou, and this is the JCC, or the Jewish Community Center. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful gym. They just completely renovated and built an addition. It's insane, and it's mid-century modern, and it has the most beautiful floating stairs and terrazzo you've seen of your whole life. So Maplewood is going to be more expensive than this general area. This is the Westbury area. Maplewood is going to be more expensive by about $50,000 to $70,000. The houses are really nice over here. Some of them flooded, some of them didn't. And then as we move a little bit west, so a lot of this is going to have really beautiful mid-century modern and ranch style houses, but unfortunately a large amount of them flooded. And as we move up over here, this is Sharpstown. You see how there's like a steady little wave here. Really fun little design that I'm sure was all intentional. This area is not in top dollar condition, if you catch my drift. One day I yearn to see Sharpstown restored to its original glory, but unfortunately the developers did a terrible, heinous disservice to the future of Sharpstown by putting commercial literally next door and across the street from beautiful mid-century, like true mid-century modern houses. So Sharpstown, this area is going to be in the $200,000 to $300,000 range, and you can get an insane cool mid-century modern house over here. But the neighborhood definitely leaves something to be desired. If you live in Sharpstown, I'm really sorry, but that is my opinion. All right, so this general area, this is loop 610 right here. This is the Galleria, and fun fact, if you're not from Houston, the Galleria is also called Uptown, and the Galleria / Uptown is really like the center of town. Most cities operate with downtown as being the center of their city, but Houston is unique in that downtown really is not the center of our community. The Galleria is the center, and then everything radiates out from there. River Oaks over here, now I know this is ranch mid-century modern, but this is going to this was developed in the 30s along with a lot of this area. So that's why we don't see mid-century modern and ranch style houses in this general area, because River Oaks, Montrose, all of these areas were developed, and even West U and Rice University, these were all developed before the 1950s. So the development was really kind of squared away by, I would say, about 1940. And then by the time this was all developed, then they moved slightly out of town, which is still close into town. Maryland, Willow Bend, Westbury, Bel Air. Now, it's also worth mentioning that a lot of the beautiful original mid-century modern houses over here have been demolished, and in their places there are giant McMansions to the tune of about 1.7 to 2.5 million in Bel Air. West University still remains largely original, but there is a lot of newer construction over there. So if you look on Google Street View, if you're from out of town, it is likely that the house is demolished, unfortunately. But you just need to drive this area. If you're coming into town, I actually live in this general area, and I would be happy to show you around town and help you find and acquire an amazing mid-century modern or ranch style house. Alrighty, so let's zoom out a little bit. So here we are. This is just our get our bearings again. So we just went over this section and in Sharpstown over here. So again, this portion is going to be 30s and 40s, along with the heights is going to be 20s to 40s. So all of this was developed before the mid-century modern space city age boom. Now, Hunters Creek Village, or the villages, we call them Bunker Hill Village, Hunters Creek Village, Piney Point Village. This was pretty far out of town at the time. And so the mid-century modern houses that we see in Spring Valley, Spring Branch, or any of the villages over here, these are going to be like palatial, gorgeous, like sprawling, ranchish, mid-century modern houses, if they're still here, because the lots, some of them are in excess of 3/4 or 1.5 acres, anywhere from probably 1/2 acre to 1.5 acres, with some of these estates actually being maybe 3 acres. So if you're looking for a very fancy mid-century modern house, this would be the area to look. This price point over here is going to be well over $2 million. If you have a nice hefty budget, you can go up to $2.5 million. Then you might want to look over here. And Houston has one Frank Lloyd Wright house, and it is located in this general area. I think it's only traded twice in the last probably 20 years. And it's got kind of that like characteristic boomerang shape with like a lot of red accents. Now, if we go on the west side, Memorial, so we're gonna go even further out of town. So here's the villages that we just looked at. We're gonna have to go outside of Beltway 8, and this is Memorial, kind of far out. Now, this pocket of town, you're also going to find some cool mid-century modern houses. This general area, so this is gonna get into development that happened in like the late 60s and 70s. All this general area right here, but also in this area, the earlier development would have happened in the late 50s and the late 60s, and mid-century modern funky little floor plans are still here. Especially in this little community, the Walnut Bend area, there are some really spectacular little mid-century modern jewels over here. And then this is Briargrove Park. There are more ranches here in Briargrove Park rather than mid-century modern, in my opinion. And you're gonna find the sparing mid-century modern over here. It's really gonna be a needle in a haystack. The best way to find a mid-century property is you're really just gonna have to set a year built date range and then just work out from there. I wish it was easier, but it's really not. Now, over on like the Westheimer area, this is Westheimer, and this is actually called, I think it's FM 1093, and it's called FM, it's a farm to market road, because originally this truly was a farm to market road, and as Houston exploded in the space age, we had a lot of development on the west side, and so it is no longer a farm to market. It's kind of the same story with FM 1960 on the northern side of town. It also used to be a farm to market road. So this is Westheimer and this is Richmond. I always remember for some reason my map is not accessible, that San Felipe, Westheimer, and Richmond, they all run parallel to each other, and they all basically go all the way across town on the southern portion. And between Westheimer and Richmond, and then portions of 59, you're gonna see some mid-century modern house. So Larchmont over here, this is another little pocket of town that has really pretty little houses. Now, Richmond and Westheimer can be a little dicey, even though like some of the most expensive shopping in all of Houston is over here. This is like traffic light and pothole city over here at Chimney. I mean, they're doing a lot of projects and a lot of improvements, but like Fountain View was super bumpy. I lived over here for a very long time, so I know the area intimately well. This is Briargrove, not to be confused with Briargrove Park. Hold on, Briargrove Park is here. Briargrove is here. Two different areas. Now, Briargrove, you're really gonna have ranch style homes. You're not gonna find the funky mid-century modern lines. You might find a mid-century modern-ish, but more with like a ranch feel if you can find an original house in the Tanglewood area. So you're gonna be able to find, so Larchmont, by the way, it's really cute, but getting in and out of your neighborhood could be a little dicey. I would love to see the area improve over time. Houston is just so big, it changes so fast. This, again, you can probably find a cute little mid-century modern all over here between Westheimer, Richmond, and West Park Tollway. And West Park Tollway is just that, it is a tollway, and so there is big, like, it's hard to get on and off. It's not readily easily to get on and off West Park Tollway on this west side, and then 59 takes you to the southwest side. There's another part, hold on, we're gonna come right back over here. Now, Braeswood. Okay, this section, here is the Med Center, here's Rice University, Herman Park. This little like trapezoid here, if you can find an original house that's mid-century modern, there are several stunning, large mid-century modern houses here, mind-blowing. Same thing with over here. Now, it's important to note that this is Braes Bayou, and a lot of these houses flooded, and take your pick of floods. Harvey, Tax Date, Memorial Day, Ike, Rita. So take it with a grain of salt over here. If you find an incredible mid-century modern house over here, you're just gonna have to hedge your bets. If it has not already been torn down, it might have been raised, which I think they look like Frankenstein when they've been raised. I wish that I had a different opinion, but I don't. I said what I said. Again, really cool mid-century properties over here. And then there's a little island over here. Not an island, but there's a portion of Braeswood that has some insane mid-century properties, but they were all flooded. And the ones that have not been redone, they have sat vacant since 2017, and it is absolutely heartbreaking. All right. Oops. We're gonna move to a completely different part of town. Just bear with me for a second. Okay, Glenbrook Valley. Here's Hobby Airport. If you love Glenbrook Valley, you're just gonna have to live by the airport where there are always gonna be planes flying over, but there are a couple amazing mid-century modern houses in Glenbrook. Actually, I think they're just almost all mid-century modern. So this little pocket of town, you're gonna find mid-century. You're gonna have to decide if you want to live by a major airport. And then we're going to zoom out a little bit more. So just to recap the sections of Houston that we've already covered. So we covered this portion here, this little portion right here. We covered here, oh, I forgot about Afton Oaks. They have a few mid-century houses, but a lot of them have been torn down. Then we covered this portion, and then we covered the villages right here. And then we covered Memorial West over here. And then we covered Spring Branch as well up here. This is going to have a lot of ranches and fewer mid-century modern houses. And you know what? While we're at it, Lazy Brook and Timber Grove up here, and a lot of them have been torn down, unfortunately. But there are still, not down here, this is Cottage Grove. These are all new houses. But this little portion over here, if they're still standing, there are some really pretty mid-century modern and ranches over here. But by and large, most of them have been torn down and giant houses stand in their place. All right, we're gonna keep going down here. Now, anywhere that you see down here that is like nice and developed, this is where all of the astronauts used to live. They lived in Clear Lake. They lived off of Bay Area Boulevard. So there is going to be a lot of mid-century down here. There actually are a couple on the, there's a really cool website that I'll link in the video description of all of the noted mid-century houses. But all the way down here, there is going to be some really cool mid-century houses just because it was close to NASA, so a lot of the astronauts lived there. And then down on Galveston Island, I know it's crazy to think, but there are actually some cool mid-century houses down here. Now, most of this is historic Victorian houses, but every so often, like I would say more like peppered throughout, there are a few mid-century properties. So if you want to live on Galveston Island, you definitely will have some options there. So this is kind of an overview of the Houston area for mid-century modern houses. And if you need somebody that specializes in old houses, mid-century, ranch, craftsman, and Victorian houses, and who's involved with Preservation Houston, I am definitely your girl. I also help families with their estates when they are helping an elderly loved one through the end of life, or if they have already had somebody pass away. I specialize in helping the family move forward in divesting real property assets. So if you have any questions about any of the areas that I covered, or if you're ready to look for an amazing mid-century modern or ranch style home, I'm definitely your girl. My name is Mariam Hejazi. I've been helping people buy and sell residential real estate for over 12 years, and I've been loving Houston since 1987. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.